Have you ever wondered about the sheer power of silence? Not the awkward, empty kind of silence, but a deliberate, controlled pause. A silence so profound it can shake the very foundation of someone's ego. Imagine the impact of stepping back from the noise, disengaging from unnecessary battles, and letting the storm rage without being pulled into it. Can such a simple act really have that much power? In a world where words are often wielded like weapons, where arguments and explanations fly fast and furious, silence is a rarity. And yet, it is precisely this rarity that gives silence its strength. When we master the art of silence, we not only protect our peace, but also allow others to confront themselves. This is not about manipulation or mind games. It is about understanding and embracing the Stoic wisdom that what others think or feel is not within your control, only your responses. Now, what if I told you that silence could be your greatest ally? Not as a tool of destruction, but as one of transformation for yourself and those around you. You don't have to argue. You don't have to justify. You don't even have to explain. By choosing calm and quiet, you shift the balance of power. In this exploration of silence, inspired by the timeless principles of Stoicism, I'll take you through transformative practices that can dismantle not only ego of others, but also your own reliance on their validation. And the final practice? It might just be the one that changes your relationships forever. Stay with me until the end, and let's uncover this silent strength together. 1. Stay calm when chaos arises. What do you do when someone storms into your space, bringing chaos, anger, or frustration? Do you rise to meet their intensity? Do you let their emotions sweep you away like a leaf in the wind? Or do you stand firm, calm, and unmoved? The first step in using silence to dismantle ego is learning to stay calm when chaos swirls around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." How often do we forget this in the heat of the moment? When someone pushes your buttons, it's easy to feel like you have no choice but to react. But do you? Or is your reaction a choice, one you've been giving away too freely? Picture this. You're in a heated argument with a partner, a friend, or even a colleague. They know how to provoke you, and they expect you to erupt like you always do, but this time you don't. Instead, you pause, take a deep breath, and simply listen. Your calm response, or lack of response, disrupts their expectations. It forces them to sit with their own emotions because you're no longer feeding the fire. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about being passive or detached, it's about being deeply rooted in yourself. When you refuse to meet chaos with chaos, you create space for clarity and reason. You show that their anger doesn't control you. More importantly, you protect your own peace. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Calmness in the face of chaos requires practice. The next time someone challenges you, try this. Before you speak, ask yourself, what is within my control right now? Is this reaction serving me, or is it simply a reflex? That pause is powerful. It's where your growth begins. Staying calm doesn't mean you don't care. On the contrary, it shows a deep level of emotional intelligence. When you're calm, you're not disengaged, you're fully present. This composure can shift the dynamics of any relationship. It's unsettling to those who expect a fight and deeply reassuring to those who value maturity. Imagine the impact this could have on your closest relationships. Instead of fueling arguments, your calmness creates an environment where real conversations can happen. Instead of reacting to every insult or criticism, you demonstrate strength and self-respect. Over time, this approach doesn't just protect your peace, it invites others to rise to your level of calm. Do you see how this works? Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of control. That when you stay calm in the face of chaos, you are not just silencing their ego, you are silencing the part of yourself that feels the need to prove, to argue, or to defend. You are practicing the core of Stoicism, mastery over your own mind. And here's a challenge for you. The next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, pause and choose calm. Resist the urge to respond immediately. Let your silence speak for you. Then observe what happens, not just to them, but to yourself. This is the first step toward reclaiming your power. But what if the storm doesn't pass? What if silence isn't enough? In the next section, we'll explore the importance of creating space in relationships and how stepping back can allow others to step forward. Stay with me as we dive deeper into the transformative power of silence. 2. Create space with silence. What happens when you stop trying so hard? When you step back not out of anger or spite, but to create space for others to take the initiative. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a pause, a deliberate act of letting things unfold. By stepping back, you invite the other person to reflect, to fill the void you've left, and to recognize what they might have taken for granted. Consider this. Are you always the one reaching out, apologizing first, or trying to mend things? Do you find yourself exhausted, wondering why the effort seems so one-sided? If so, stepping back isn't abandonment, it's balance. It's about giving yourself the respect you deserve and allowing others to show their commitment to the relationship. Imagine a flickering flame in a relationship, a connection that feels fragile and one-sided. You've tried everything to keep it alive: communication, effort, compromise. But what happens when you stop feeding the flame for a moment? The cold gust of your absence forces the other person to notice the void, to realize what's slipping away. Sometimes people don't truly value something until they feel its loss, even momentarily. This isn't about manipulation, it's about fostering mutual respect. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, thrive on reciprocity. When one person carries all the weight, it breeds imbalance and resentment. By stepping back, you're not punishing the other person, you're giving them the chance to step forward. But this can feel risky, can it? You might fear that stepping back will create distance or worsen the situation. What if they don't notice your absence? What if they don't care? These fears are valid, but they also reveal something deeper. Are you clinging to control because you fear losing the relationship? If so, stepping back is even more important. It's a chance to rediscover your own strength and to see whether the relationship is truly built on mutual effort. Think of it like this. If you're constantly filling their glass, they'll never notice when it's empty. But if you stop pouring for a moment, they'll start to feel the difference. They'll realize that your presence, your efforts, and your love aren't endless supplies. They're gifts that deserve recognition and reciprocity. For a friend of mine once shared her story about a long-term relationship. She was the planner, the communicator, the fixer. Every outing, every difficult conversation, every reconciliation, it all fell on her shoulders. One day, exhausted and unappreciated, she decided to step back. She didn't disappear or give the silent treatment. She simply stopped initiating. At first, it was uncomfortable. She worried he wouldn't notice, but over time he did. He began to reach out, to plan, to ask what she wanted. Her absence wasn't just noticed, it was felt. And in that feeling, he recognized her value. By creating space, you allow others to see what they've been overlooking. You give them the opportunity to grow, to take responsibility, and to meet you halfway. This is not about testing someone's loyalty or love. It's about creating room for balance and mutual respect to flourish. So how can you start practicing this? The next time you feel the urge to initiate, pause. Ask yourself, what happens if I don't take the first step this time? And then wait. Silence doesn't mean you care less, it means you care enough to seek a healthier dynamic. Observe what unfolds. Does the other person step up? Do they begin to show more appreciation? Or does the imbalance remain? Either way, you'll learn something valuable about the relationship and about yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever stepped back in a relationship and noticed a shift? Or are you considering creating space for the first time? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. If this resonates with you, give this video a like. Your engagement not only supports this channel, but also helps others discover these transformative practices. And remember, silence isn't weakness, it's strength. By stepping back, you're not losing control, you're reclaiming it. In the next section, we'll discuss how actions surprising and unexpected can speak louder than words. Stay tuned. 3. Let your actions speak. The words often flow too easily, don't they? In heated moments, or even in times of calm, we rely on language to express ourselves, to persuade, to explain. But how often do those words truly carry weight? Actions, on the other hand, speak a language that words cannot match. They cut through noise, break expectations, and leave a lasting impression. Have you ever noticed how predictable relationships can become? People get used to a certain version of you, the peacemaker, the planner, the fixer. Over time, they begin to anticipate your moves, and sometimes they take those efforts for granted. This predictability creates a sense of comfort for them, but a feeling of invisibility for you. The remedy? Break the pattern. Let your actions, not your words, redefine their perception of you. Consider this. You're in a relationship where you've always been the one to apologize first, even when the fault isn't yours. You've fallen into a habit of smoothing over disagreements, not because you're wrong, but because you value peace. So what would happen if, instead of offering the usual apology, you took a step back and offered an act of kindness instead? Not as a means to end the argument, but as a reflection of your character. An unexpected gesture like preparing a thoughtful meal or leaving a heartfelt note can say, "I care deeply, but I also value myself." Actions disrupt expectations in a way that words never can. When someone expects anger but is met with patience, or when they anticipate defensiveness but are met with calm, it forces them to reconsider their approach. This is a core principle of Stoicism, responding with integrity and intention rather than emotion or reflex. Marcus Aurelius himself reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This doesn't mean abandoning verbal communication. It's an essential part of any relationship. But when actions become the primary mode of expression, they carry a depth that words alone cannot achieve. Think about how it feels when someone surprises you with a thoughtful deed instead of an empty apology. The impact lingers. It transcends the moment. A close friend once shared how she redefined her role in her relationship through action. Her partner had grown accustomed to her planning every date, every conversation about their future. She realized her efforts were being appreciated less and expected more. So she changed the dynamic. Instead of planning the next date, she encouraged him to take the lead. When he didn't, she didn't push. Instead, she focused on herself, taking up a new hobby, dedicating time to friends. Her actions spoke volumes, not as a form of protest, but as a quiet demonstration of self-respect and independence. Eventually, her partner noticed the shift. He began stepping up, not because she demanded it, but because her actions highlighted what she was worth. There's something profoundly Stoic about letting your actions be the proof of your character. In Stoicism, action is everything. It's the application of wisdom, the living out of virtue. By acting rather than speaking, you embody your values. You show rather than tell what matters to you. Breaking away from predictable patterns through action doesn't mean making dramatic or confrontational moves. Sometimes it's the smallest, most subtle shifts that speak the loudest. For example, if you're the one who always solves problems at work, step back and let others handle them. Observe how they navigate the space you leave. If you've been the one holding a friendship together, let them come to you for once. Your silence will say more than any words of frustration. If you've always been quick to explain yourself, choose instead to act with kindness and let your deeds reflect your intentions. These shifts don't just change how others see you, they also transform how you see yourself. You begin to trust your ability to influence without words. You discover that you don't need to prove your worth, it's evident in the way you live. What action could you take today that would disrupt someone's expectations of you? Perhaps it's something small, a change in tone, a moment of restraint, or a quiet gesture of care. Whatever it is, let it come from a place of authenticity, not performance. Let it reflect your values, your strength, and your self-respect. When your actions surprise them, they'll remember, and more importantly, so will you. This practice is not just about shifting their perception, but about deepening your own understanding of who you are. It's about living in alignment with the wisdom Stoicism offers, that our actions, not our words, define the life we lead. In the next section, we'll uncover how adding a touch of mystery to your life, cultivating curiosity, can transform the dynamics of any relationship. Let's continue. 4. Intrigue through mystery. When was the last time someone looked at you with genuine curiosity? Not the superficial kind, but a deep, inquisitive interest that made them want to know more about you. In relationships, predictability can erode that sense of intrigue. When every detail of your day is laid bare, when every thought is shared immediately, the mystery that once captivated others begins to fade. But what if you could reignite it, not by creating distance, but by cultivating curiosity? Human nature thrives on intrigue. We are drawn to what we don't fully understand, to the parts of others that remain just out of reach. Yet so often, in our closest relationships, we fall into a habit of over-disclosure. We share everything, our plans, our routines, even our doubts, until there's nothing left to discover. This transparency may feel like a sign of intimacy, but over time it can lead to complacency, to what remains to be explored when all the doors have been opened. Imagine this scenario. You're in a long-term relationship where you've always shared the details of your day as they happen. Your partner knows your routine, your thoughts, even your future plans. But lately the spark has dimmed. Not because anything is wrong, but because everything feels too routine. What if you shifted that dynamic? Not by withholding, but by sharing selectively, letting certain details unfold naturally instead of all at once. What might they feel if they began to wonder? What are they thinking? What are they up to? This isn't about secrecy or manipulation, it's about independence. When you hold back just a little, you allow your partner or friend to rediscover the parts of you that are still unfolding. You remind them that you are a dynamic person, constantly growing and evolving, with interests and ambitions beyond what's immediately visible. Take, for example, a woman who had been married for years. Her husband knew every part of her schedule, from morning meetings to evening errands. While their relationship was stable, it lacked excitement. She decided to try something new, not by changing her personality, but by introducing a sense of autonomy. She began taking classes on a subject she'd always loved but hadn't pursued in years. She didn't announce it as a major change, she simply let it become part of her life. Over time, her husband noticed the subtle shift. His curiosity was piqued, not because she was hiding anything, but because he saw her in a new light. As someone with passions and interests that extended beyond their shared world. This kind of mystery can be transformative. It's not about creating distance or playing games, it's about showing that you are more than the sum of your shared experiences. In Stoicism, there's a wisdom to maintaining your individuality. The philosophy teaches that you must first belong to yourself before you can truly belong to anyone else. Cultivating intrigue is one way of embodying this idea, of demonstrating that your life is a rich and unfolding journey, one that others are invited to join but never entitled to fully control. How might this look in practice? Consider these simple shifts. If you're always the first to share your plans for the day, hold back and let them ask. Let them wonder, what are they doing today? If you're pursuing a new hobby or interest, don't feel the need to immediately explain it. Allow your actions to speak for themselves over time. If a friend or partner has grown used to your constant communication, take a step back, not out of frustration, but to create space for them to reach out. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require distance or detachment. You're still fully engaged in the relationship, but you're also allowing room for curiosity to grow. When someone sees that there are parts of you they don't fully understand, it reignites their interest. They begin to ask questions, to seek you out, to rediscover the depth and complexity that first drew them to you. But let's address the fear. What if they don't notice? What if the intrigue doesn't grow and the relationship remains stagnant? The answer lies in Stoicism's greatest teaching. Your value is not dependent on their recognition. By cultivating your own growth, by maintaining your independence, you are enriching yourself first and foremost. The intrigue you create is a reflection of your inner transformation, not a tool to manipulate others. So whether they notice or not, you are still becoming more vibrant, more curious, and more complete. So ask yourself, when was the last time you kept something for yourself, not out of secrecy, but out of a desire to nurture your own individuality? So when was the last time you allowed someone to wonder about you, to rediscover the mystery of who you are? Intrigue isn't about withholding, it's about evolving. It's about showing that you are a person with layers, with dreams, with a life that is always in motion. And in allowing others to see glimpses of this evolution, you invite them to grow alongside you. In the next section, we'll explore how silence, combined with intentional actions, can further solidify your self-respect and transform how others perceive you. Let's continue this journey. 5. Step back to let them come forward. Have you ever felt like you're the glue holding a relationship together? The one always reaching out, always making plans, always smoothing things over. It's a role many of us take on, often out of love and care, but over time it can become exhausting. Worse, it can create an imbalance where the other person grows comfortable, even complacent, relying on you to keep things afloat. So what happens if you step back, not as an act of defiance, but as an invitation for them to step forward? Stepping back doesn't mean disappearing or giving someone the cold shoulder. It means creating space, an intentional pause that allows the other person to feel the weight of their role in the relationship. But when you always initiate, others rarely have the opportunity to show their appreciation, their effort, or their investment. By stepping back, you allow them to experience what the relationship feels like without your constant input. And sometimes that void is the wake-up call they need. Consider this. You've been the one texting first every morning, checking in, or planning your next meetup with a friend or partner. It feels natural to you, but have you noticed whether they reciprocate? Would they reach out if you didn't? Would they plan the next outing if you stopped? These are uncomfortable questions, but they're necessary ones. Imagine a scenario where you pause. One morning, you don't send that first message. One weekend, you don't suggest plans. At first, the silence might feel awkward, even risky. But in that silence, something important happens. They have a chance to notice your absence. They have the space to reflect on their role and to decide whether they value the relationship enough to take the next step. This doesn't always yield the results you hope for. Sometimes, stepping back reveals that the other person isn't as invested as you are. While this can be painful, it's also clarifying. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the actions of others, only our own. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. If you've given your heart and effort sincerely, then stepping back is not a loss. It's a declaration of your worth. But often stepping back leads to surprising results. People who've grown accustomed to your efforts begin to realize how much they value you. A friend who rarely texts first might suddenly reach out, realizing they miss your presence. A partner who's let you carry the emotional weight might begin to shoulder their share, appreciating the balance you're creating. This isn't manipulation, it's an opportunity for growth for both of you. A story comes to mind about a colleague who always took the lead on work projects. Her teammates relied on her, even when it wasn't her responsibility. She decided to step back, not to let the project fail, but to give her colleagues to step up. At first there was hesitation. Deadlines were pushed, but then her team rallied. They began to contribute more, take initiative, and appreciate her leadership in a way they hadn't before. By stepping back, she empowered them to grow. So how can you apply this practice in your own life? Start small. If you're always the one who texts first, wait and see if they reach out. If you're the planner, let someone else make the next move. If you're the problem solver, give others the chance to find solutions. This shift can feel uncomfortable. You might worry, what if they don't notice? What if it changes? But remember, your worth isn't tied to how others respond. By stepping back, you're setting a boundary, one that says, I value this relationship, but I also value myself. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever stepped back in a relationship to let someone come forward? What did you learn from the experience? Share your story in the comments. I'm sure others in this community can relate. If you found this insight valuable, give this video a like. It helps more people discover the Stoic wisdom that can transform relationships. And don't go anywhere. In the next section, we'll uncover how short, clear responses can convey your strength and shift the dynamics of communication. Let's keep moving forward. 6. Give short, clear responses. The words hold power, but they can also dilute themselves when overused. How often do we speak more than necessary, trying to explain, justify, or fill the silence? Well, sometimes the strongest message comes not from what we say, but from the restraint we exercise in how much we say. Short, clear responses carry weight. They show that you've thought before speaking and that your words are deliberate, not reactive. Picture this. You're in a heated discussion with someone. They're throwing accusations, demanding explanations, or trying to provoke a response. The temptation to defend yourself, to fire back with equal intensity, can feel overwhelming. But what if, instead of escalating the situation, you chose brevity? A simple, calm statement like "I understand your perspective," or "let's talk about this later when we're both calmer," can shift the entire dynamic. Why does this work? Because when you keep your responses short and clear, you leave no room for misinterpretation. You refuse to be drawn into unnecessary debates or circular arguments. Your words become a mirror, reflecting back only what is essential. Stoicism, this aligns with the practice of controlling your reaction rather than being controlled by external events. Epictetus reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Short responses aren't dismissive, they're intentional. They show that you value clarity and respect over emotional escalation. They also signal confidence. When you can express your thoughts in a concise way, it conveys that you don't feel the need to over-explain or seek validation. This can be particularly powerful in professional settings or situations where emotions are running high. Consider a workplace scenario. A colleague criticizes your work during a meeting. Instead of defending every detail, you respond calmly with, "Thank you for your feedback. I'll consider it." This kind of response shows maturity and keeps the focus on solutions rather than conflict. It leaves others respecting your composure rather than your defensiveness. In personal relationships, short, clear responses can prevent miscommunication. Imagine a partner or friend who is upset and expecting you to engage in a lengthy back and forth. Instead of feeding the tension, you say, "I hear you. Let's revisit this when we're both calm." This doesn't dismiss their feelings, it acknowledges them while setting a boundary. It also creates space for both of you to process the situation more thoughtfully. However, brevity doesn't mean withholding or being cold. It's about choosing your words carefully and ensuring they serve a purpose. Before speaking, ask yourself, am I saying this to add value, or am I reacting impulsively? Will this response clarify the situation or complicate it further? Am I speaking from a place of reason or emotion? That when you master the art of short, clear responses, you begin to notice how much unnecessary noise surrounds most conversations. People often talk to be heard, to fill silence, or to assert control. But when you choose your words with precision, you rise above this noise. Your calm, measured responses stand out, creating a sense of balance and authority. There's a certain elegance in restraint. It shows that you're not easily swayed by external pressures, that you value your time and energy. In relationships, this can encourage others to adopt a similar approach, speaking less but with more purpose. So the next time you're faced with a situation that demands a response, pause. Consider the shortest, clearest to sharpen your thoughts. Say what needs to be said and no more. Then watch how the dynamic shifts. You'll find that not only do others listen more intently, but you also conserve your energy and maintain your composure. In the upcoming section, we'll discuss how the simple act of pausing before responding can amplify this practice even further, bringing clarity and control to every conversation. Let's continue. 7. Pause before you respond. How often do we rush to fill the silence in a conversation? A question is asked, a comment is made, and we feel the immediate need to respond. Yet in that urgency, how many times have we said something we later regret, misunderstood the other person, or allowed emotions to take over? The power of a pause, a deliberate, thoughtful pause, can change the course of any interaction. In that moment, you reclaim control, allowing reason to replace impulse. Imagine you're in a conversation where tensions are high. Someone says something hurtful or accusatory. Your instinct might be to react immediately, to defend yourself, or to retaliate. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused? What if you gave yourself a few seconds to breathe, to process, and to consider your response? That pause is where transformation begins. Pausing before you respond serves two purposes. First, it gives you time to think. That you can reflect on what was said, decide whether it even warrants a response, and choose your words wisely. The second, it signals to the other person that you are intentional and composed. It shows that you're not reacting emotionally, but responding thoughtfully. This simple act of restraint is a cornerstone of Stoicism, where mastery over one's impulses is key to maintaining inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control." In conversations, this wisdom can be applied by using the pause as a tool to separate what's within your control, your response, from what isn't, the other person's words or actions. Consider this example. A friend accuses you of being distant. Your immediate reaction might be to deny it or to explain why they're wrong. But instead, you pause. In that moment, you realize that their comment might come from a place of insecurity rather than truth. Instead of reacting defensively, you respond with calm and understanding. "I hadn't noticed that, but I'll reflect on it." That measured response diffuses the tension and opens the door to a more constructive conversation. Pausing is particularly powerful in relationships where emotions run high. Whether it's a romantic partner, a close friend, or even a family member, disagreements can quickly escalate if both parties react impulsively. But when one person chooses to pause, it creates a ripple effect. The energy shifts. The other person begins to mirror your calmness, and the conversation becomes more grounded. This isn't always easy. In moments of conflict, the urge to speak quickly can feel overwhelming. So how can you practice the art of pausing? Start with these steps. When someone says something provocative, take a deep breath before responding. Count to 3 if necessary. Repeat their words silently to yourself. This ensures you've understood them and gives you time to think. Ask yourself, what response aligns with my values? How can I communicate with clarity and respect? By incorporating pauses into your conversations, you not only gain control over your own emotions, but also influence the tone of the interaction. People notice when you pause. It commands attention. It shows that your words carry weight because they are considered, not careless. Now let me ask you, have you ever experienced a moment when pausing before responding changed the outcome of a conversation? Perhaps you avoided a heated argument, or you found the perfect words to express yourself. Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear how this practice has impacted your relationships. And if this insight resonates with you, give this video a like. By engaging with this content, you help it reach others who may benefit from the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Together we can create a space where thoughtful communication and self-control are valued. In the next section, we'll explore how keeping your plans to yourself can foster a deeper sense of independence and mystery, enhancing your relationships in surprising ways. Stay tuned. 8. Keep your plans to yourself. How often do you share your every thought, every idea, every plan with the people around you? It's natural to want to include others in your journey, to seek validation or support. But sometimes sharing too much too soon can dilute the power of your actions. Keeping your plans to yourself isn't about secrecy, it's about nurturing your independence, protecting your vision and allowing your efforts to speak louder than your intentions. There's a certain strength in silence when it comes to your goals. By holding your plans close, you create a space where your focus remains undisturbed by external opinions or pressures. Think about it. How many times have you shared an exciting idea or ambition only to be met with skepticism, unsolicited advice, or even subtle discouragement? These reactions can plant doubt, shifting your energy from action to explanation or defense. Imagine this scenario. You decide to start a new project, perhaps learning a skill you've always wanted to master. Instead of announcing it to your friends, family, or colleagues, you simply begin, You dedicate time to it, immerse yourself in the process, and let your progress unfold quietly. Over time, your results start to show. People notice the change, the growth, the outcome of your efforts. Their reactions shift from, "Why are you doing this?" to, "How did you achieve that?" By keeping your plans to yourself, you've avoided distractions and allowed your actions to carry the weight of your intentions. There's a timeless Stoic principle at play here. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. When you keep your plans private, you eliminate the need to manage others' reactions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." By keeping your plans within, you show that your opinion and your commitment to yourself are what matter most. This approach doesn't mean shutting people out. It means being selective about when and how you share. Sharing a completed project or a realized dream carries far more impact than sharing an unformed idea. It also builds intrigue. When others notice your growth or accomplishments, they'll naturally want to know more. This curiosity fosters genuine interest and respect rather than superficial feedback. A friend once shared how this practice transformed her career. She had long dreamed of switching fields, but whenever she mentioned it, she was met with doubts. "Are you sure that's the right move? Isn't it risky?" She stopped seeking external validation and instead focused on quietly pursuing her goal. She took classes, built connections, and prepared for the transition without announcing it to everyone. Months later, when she successfully landed her new role, the same people who once questioned her were now inspired by her dedication and resolve. Keeping your plans to yourself also cultivates a sense of self-reliance. It reminds you that your ambitions are yours to nurture and protect. So by reducing external input, you strengthen your ability to trust your instincts and follow through. This aligns with Stoicism's emphasis on self-mastery, living according to your values, not the expectations of others. But what if you're someone who enjoys sharing? What if openness feels natural to you? You don't have to abandon that entirely. Instead, consider scaling back. Share once you've achieved a milestone, not when you're just beginning. This shift allows you to celebrate your progress with others while maintaining the integrity of your process. The next time you feel the urge to announce a plan or share an idea, pause. Ask yourself, am I sharing this for validation or encouragement? How would keeping this to myself strengthen my focus? What impact might my completed action have compared to my announced intention? By keeping your plans to yourself, you honor the process of growth. You allow your results to speak for themselves, creating a sense of quiet confidence that others can't help but respect. It's not about hiding, it's about building. And when you eventually reveal the fruits of your labor, they carry a weight that your words alone never could. In the final section, we'll explore the subtle yet profound power of using eye contact instead of words, deepening connections in ways that transcend language. Let's continue. 9. Use eye contact instead of words. There is a language more powerful than any spoken word, a silent yet profound connection that flows from one person to another through a simple gaze. Eye contact has the ability to convey empathy, confidence, and understanding in ways that words often fail to achieve. In relationships, the deliberate use of eye contact can transform how we communicate, deepening trust and fostering emotional connection. Think about a time when someone held your gaze with calm intention. Did you feel seen, understood, perhaps even challenged? Eye contact has the unique power to strip away distractions and ground both people in the present moment. It can disarm tension, amplify intimacy, and remind us that connection doesn't always need words. Now consider how eye contact functions during moments of conflict. When tensions are high, we often avoid eye contact, either out of fear or frustration. We look away, fidget, or focus on defending ourselves verbally. But what if, instead of speaking, you chose to listen with your eyes? What if, when faced with an argument or a difficult conversation, you calmly held the other person's gaze and let the silence do the work? This quiet confidence speaks volumes, showing that you are present, engaged, and unshaken by the chaos around you. This approach is rooted in Stoicism, which teaches us to remain centered and composed even in challenging situations. By using eye contact as your primary response, you demonstrate mastery over your emotions and a willingness to connect on a deeper level. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In moments of stillness, your gaze reflects your inner calm, inviting the other person to match it. Eye contact isn't just for moments of conflict, it's equally powerful in building trust and closeness. Imagine sitting across from someone you care about, a partner, a friend, or even a child, and choosing to truly see them. Not just their words or their actions, but the person behind them. By holding their gaze with warmth and curiosity, you signal that they matter to you, that you value this shared moment. A small act can strengthen bonds in ways that conversations alone cannot. A friend once shared a story about her relationship with her father. They struggled to communicate verbally, often finding their words tangled in misunderstandings. But during one quiet afternoon, as they sat together in the living room, their eyes met. There were no words, no explanations, just a mutual acknowledgement of love and understanding. In that silence, they connected in a way that years of talking had never achieved. The experience reminded her that sometimes the greatest truths are spoken without sound. In professional settings, eye contact can also convey authority and confidence. During meetings or negotiations, a steady gaze communicates self-assuredness and attentiveness. It shows that you are not only listening but also fully present in the exchange. So presence commands respect and encourages others to engage with you on a deeper level. But how can you cultivate the habit of intentional eye contact? It starts with awareness. Many of us avoid prolonged eye contact out of discomfort or habit, but with practice it becomes second nature. To begin by incorporating these steps, be mindful of your gaze. When speaking or listening, focus on the other person's eyes. Notice how this changes the dynamic of the conversation. Practice during calm moments. In low-stakes situations like chatting with a friend or colleague, make a conscious effort to maintain eye contact. Pair eye contact with stillness. Let your gaze carry the weight of your presence without unnecessary gestures or distractions. Observe their reaction. Notice how people respond to your steady, deliberate gaze. Do they soften? Do they engage more fully? As you integrate eye contact into your interactions, you'll find that it not only strengthens your relationships, but also enhances your own sense of presence and confidence. That you'll learn to communicate more with less, to let your eyes reflect the calm and composure of a mind grounded in Stoicism. Eye contact, like silence, is a powerful tool for connection. It transcends words, creating a space where emotions, intentions, and understanding can flow freely. The next time you find yourself in a moment of tension or intimacy, resist the urge to fill the silence with words. Instead, look deeply into the other person's eyes and let that silent connection speak for itself. Silence is not emptiness, it is power. Through calmness, restraint, and deliberate action, you dismantle not only the egos of others, but also the part of yourself that craves validation or control. The practices we've explored, staying calm, stepping back, giving clear responses, pausing, keeping plans private, cultivating mystery, and using eye contact, are more than strategies. They are tools for living with dignity, self-respect, and inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control others, but we can control ourselves. By mastering the art of silence and intentionality, you reclaim your energy and transform your relationships. You invite others to meet you on a level of mutual respect and understanding, rather than one of conflict or imbalance. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Which of these practices resonates most with you? Have you tried any of them, or are you inspired to begin? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights may help someone else on their journey. If this video has added value to your life, consider liking and subscribing to help spread these ideas further. Together, we can create a community rooted in strength, wisdom, and connection. We thank you for being here. And remember, your silence is your strength. Until next time, stay grounded and keep rising above.